Hey guys, what is going on? We are in the studio today. Thank God the AC feels so nice. It's so hot outside. And we are shooting on a white cyc or cyclorama, which is a seamless background. And it's so great for shooting fashion, products, jewelry, you name it. I guarantee you at some point in your career, you are going to be shooting on a white cyc, okay? So let's hop out there and talk about what is the purpose of a white cyc. Well, it helps hide the background, which is the wall, from meeting the floor. So if you notice that there's no seam or crease where the wall meets the floor, makes for a much cleaner look. You can also achieve this with white paper, but today we're shooting on a white cyc. So this is really advantageous because you have white all around you, so it helps fill your subject a lot easier than when you're on location, but also it could cause an issue because you have too much fill. So what I want to show you guys today is 5 different ways that you can light a model on a white cyc while maintaining light direction, shadows, depth, all the things we need to create stunning images. All right, so today we are using Profoto lights, and it doesn't matter what lights you use can use any lights, so don't even worry about that. Don't even worry about the gear that we're using, just focus on the lighting setups. We're gonna talk about the ratio of lights relative to the lights that we're using, and it's all about lighting ratio. So we're gonna start with the first lighting setup, which is more of a commercial look. It's a front lit setup with 2 black cards on each side. Now, the black cards that are gonna be out here on each side are to help create shadows on the side. So we're gonna eliminate a lot of the fill that the white cyc creates naturally by adding black cards on the side. All right, guys, we have our light set up, but I wanna show you something, the reason why I set the light up the way I do. Now, this is our main light or our key light, and I've got this position just directly at the model relative to where I'm sitting, and I'm gonna be sitting right here. And so what this is doing is giving me a nice even light across her face. This is often used for beauty photos. Today we're just shooting a portrait of her, so I want the face to be evenly lit so it really displays her and what she actually looks like in real life very accurately. So the reason why I have it up here above her jawline is because I want to create separation here where her chin is from her neck. Now, I'm going to show you what that looks like if I lose that shadow. So let's take a shot. All right, notice we still have a pretty good jaw shadow, which is creating separation from the chin and the neck. But I'm gonna raise it up a little bit more just so we can exaggerate that shadow. Typically, I have this light above the chin to create that shadow, but not too high because we don't wanna create brow shadows in the eye. So that's actually a really good spot there. Notice the shadow feels like it's longer and then a little bit softer because we're giving it more distance to spread, versus here it's a little bit shorter. So below the model and in front of her, we have this silver catch card. And what this is doing is it's bouncing some of the spill of this key light back into the model's eyes. And it creates a nice little highlight in the eyes, and it really brings life to the model's face. Highly recommend this anytime you're putting a light source above the model's jawline. So I'm good with this lighting, so we're gonna shoot away because this looks great. So one thing that I'm doing here is I wait for the model to hit her pose, and then I take the photo. And then I re-select my focus just to make sure I get a good focus every shot while she's hitting her next pose. So it's kind of like a little bit of a dance. We have to be timed up really well. And that little beep you're hearing is the recycle rate, letting me know that the light has recycled for another shot. So if you shoot over that beep, you're not gonna get your full power. So you wanna make sure you're in sync with your lights and your models. So there's a lot going on that you need to understand. All right, let's remove the black cards so I can show you the difference, what those black cards are doing. The black cards on the side in this shot create that nice black line there, and she separates from the background really well. Remember, lighting is all about making your subject stand out, look good, and separate from the background. Now, this shot is without the black cards. She still looks good because we have good lighting, but notice that the line is a little bit less contrasty. So this is without a black card, and that's with a black card. Let's show you what it does on the face. With the black card on the face, without. It's not much difference on the face because the hair is creating a natural black card, so we have nice contouring on the cheekbones. There's that catch light again. So this is just one light. Our one main light is a 5-foot octabox. It's a really soft light source. So you got your first diffusion here, and then your second diffusion. And that's your light source. So essentially you're taking your light source from, that looks like it's 3.5 inches all the way to 5 feet. And that's what creates that softbox effect. And the reason why I prefer softboxes over, let's say, umbrellas is because umbrellas are trash. But basically softboxes, you're able to control the light a little bit better because you have this lip here, and then the umbrellas are inverted, so they just spill off everywhere. So this is better soft light control. Okay, so the camera settings I'm gonna be at all day today is ISO 100, because the lower your ISO is, the sharper your image is gonna be, and the less noise, super important. So when you zoom in, it's gonna be super sharp. F-stop F9, because I wanna keep her head to toe in focus, right? So anytime you're shooting on a white cyc, you're probably shooting fashion or products, and you wanna show the product fully in focus. So the higher F-stop, the more depth of field you're gonna have. So that's why I'm at F9. The lower your f-stop, the more light you let in, but also your depth of field becomes super shallow, and you're gonna start seeing some of your images go out of focus. And then my shutter is 1/160th of a second. And that's as fast as I can shoot on the shutter for these lights because we're not doing high-speed sync. So I am using the 24-70 L lens by Canon, and I'm roughly around 50 to 70 millimeters, which are pretty literal focal lengths. I'm not doing any wide barrel distortion, and I'm not doing any long telephoto barrel compression. I'm just shooting pretty standard literal focal lengths because I want her to look natural and like how she looks in real life. All right, so we're setting up our second lighting setup. Main light, our key light, and this is gonna be slightly off-centered, still above the jawline, to the left of the camera. And now we have our second light. I like to call this our texture light. So the purpose of this light, notice that it's skimming down her. It's still diffused, not as much, but this is just to help create more light direction. Now back here is our hair light on the shadow side, opposite of the key light. And my assistant, Kelsey, she's awesome, but she's still learning. So I wanna point out what not to do with the hair light. So do you see this? The light's coming through the hair and it's creating all this unwanted like shadowing from her bangs. So she got it close, but we need to move it a little bit further back because it's a hair light. We don't want the hair light actually getting on her chin. And I'm gonna raise it up, and then I'm actually gonna tilt it up just to keep it off of the ground because I don't wanna get hard lights on the ground. I'm gonna put this as far in frame as possible without seeing it. So now look at the difference. There's no light, unwanted light hitting her chin, but it's still hitting her hair. You can see my hand shadow. And the way I check that is I set up my lights and then I come back to where I'm gonna be shooting and I look at her and I'm looking at all the light hitting her. And that's the purpose of having modeling lights, which is the continuous lights that you see. That's to help you see what the light's going to do when it flashes. And I still have my trusty favorite silver catch light, because we have this light slightly above her jawline. All right guys, so we have our second lighting setup all set up and dialed in. And by dialed in, what I mean is the ratio from each light to each light is very specific. So these lights go up to 10. It's all about ratio. So this light is full power at 10. This is our key light because it's our main source of light. Now notice this is a smaller, undiffused softbox, so it's a hard light. And this is at 9. Notice it's a little bit closer and it's skimming her. So this is my texture light. This is a great technique to bring out texture in the clothing. I'm gonna show you before and after adding this light. Here we have our hair light, and this is completely exposed, not diffused at all, hard light, but what we have it on is a honeycomb grid. And what the honeycomb grid does is it forces the light to go only at a certain angle. This is a 20-degree grid, so that means the light can spread about 20 degrees. If we didn't have this, it would spread all over the room, which is what it's doing right now. So I'm gonna slide this on. So essentially it's turning this light from spreading everywhere to only spreading about right here. I always have a honeycomb grid on my hard light sources because I'm trying to control spill off. So this is what our lighting is looking at right here. The hair light is clearly putting a highlight on her hair and not her face, which is what we're going for. The key light is above her jaw, so we have a nice jaw shadow here. It's off to the side, so we have direction from left to right. So the left side of her face is more lit than the right, so that keeps our direction going. And our texture light, which is further off to the left, you can see it in her eye here, that's creating this semi-hard light effect. And look how the sweater just really, you can tell the texture of that sweater. And I want you to see the hard light here. It adds just a little bit more contrast. Now let's take a shot without the texture light so you can see what that's doing. So before, this was with our light. It's creating a lot more direction, a lot more contrast, a lot more texture. And turning that light off, a lot flatter of an image, not much direction. Still looks good because we have a nice large soft source. But adding that texture light really makes the sweater, the texture come out in the jeans, and it really gives us direction. We're shooting a three-dimensional object, or in this case, a person, and we're turning it into 2 dimensions. So we're actually losing a dimension. So the way we have to make up for that is with lighting, and shadows, shading creates dimension. So shadows are your friend. So, I mean, so many times I've seen newbie photographers, they're like, okay, go stand out there, and they put one light on this side, and then they put another light on that side, and they're just sending light from both sides with really no purpose. And there's no shadow, so then there's no dimension, there's no depth, and it just honestly looks boring. So in this case, my main lights are both on the same side, and we only have a light on the opposite side for the hair light. So 95% of the time I have my lights on the same side. So what I noticed is that our texture light, which is a hard light, is creating an unwanted shadow of her on the ground. But I want to maintain the effects that it's having on her torso and her face and her jeans. What I'm going to do while looking at the model is I'm just going to remove half of the diffusion down to about, let's see, I can't see the shadow. Okay, there it is. That's pretty good right there. I'm just trying to diffuse that shadow a little bit. That's your before. That's your after. It's gone on the ground. It's a little bit softer, but we still get to maintain the high contrast texture light on the body and on the clothes. Look how good that looks. All right, Melissa, let's shoot. So I have her cheated to the light source. Anytime you use a hard light, you gotta be careful with nose shadows. So the way you avoid this is by directing the model to have her chin cheated towards her hard light source. So what I'm doing is just timing my shots with her poses. Not really changing my focal length, just shooting head to toe, because I can always crop in. And then once we get what we like head to toe, I might shoot some 3/4. Yeah, that's much more interesting. I love the angles. See, this is like the optimal angle for this lighting with your chin.
I see it.
Yeah.
Okay.
But you can still bring the shoulders back so the chest isn't getting flat lit. Yeah, so chin to the light poles and bring the chest square more to me. Yeah. So bring your chest to me, like that, and then chin that way, yeah. Chin this way a little bit more. Yeah, you might not be able to look at me. Straighten the head out. Yeah. All right, so what do you think?
These are beautiful.
So check this out. We've got this hard light as our texture light, the key light above our jawline, a little bit to the side, and then we have that hair light. Double checking that our hard light isn't creating a harsh shadow on the ground. And notice again, I'm shooting down up at her, making her look long and tall. All right, so next outfit, next lighting setup. This one's gonna be fun, nice and bright. Hey guys, we are on our next lighting setup, and it's super simple. It's just one light, it's a beauty dish. So it's a hard light, but we're still catching some of the fall off, so it's not extremely hard, right? And it gives us a really high key, bright, sunny look, which is great for, you said it, bright colors and bright outfits, okay? So we have our trusty silver catch here on the ground as well. And I've got these double white V cards on either side, just to make sure we fill the shadow even more so the shadow isn't super dark. Okay, so a quick point here. The closer I am, the shorter her shadow is gonna be. And then the further away I move from the light source, the longer and more shadow I get to see. So that's how I'm gonna change the lighting setup, is I'm gonna move in this range here. So first off, let me show you how it looks with a short shadow. And notice I backed her up closer to the wall so we can get that shadow. If she was pulled back out further, the shadow would be on the ground and there wouldn't be that much depth. But the shadow is very important here to creating depth and separation. So you can see that close to the light source, the shadow is pretty short. And now I'm gonna be over here. The shadow is gonna be a little bit longer. And that's the difference there. So let's take some shots. This is a very forgiving lighting setup. I mean, it makes skin look so good. Everyone looks 5 years younger with this lighting. Beautiful. Okay, those are amazing. All right, guys, we are on our next lighting setup. This one's super simple. We just have two heads bouncing into two V cards, and it's creating a super soft light. Got them feathered away from the back wall, just to try to let the back wall be a little bit darker than our model. And over here on the shadow side, we have a silver reflector bouncing back some high contrast fill Just trying to hair light her just a little bit. Beautiful. Since she's sitting pretty low, I'm gonna come a little bit lower so I don't shoot down on her. You wanna check out these photos?
These are incredible.
Yeah.
That is amazing.
See how super soft that lighting is? The white cyc makes it really easy to create a huge, soft light source. Even though we're just bouncing off these V cards, the light is still bouncing off the white ceiling, off the white floor. It's bouncing all around, and we get this super soft, kind of angelic, glowy light. And we can see here on her shoulder, this silver glow from that silver card. Pro model, she makes my life easy. We're already ready to go on to our last look, right? Do you think we got it? All right, guys, we are on our next lighting setup and our next outfit look. We are shooting a little bit more high fashion. Let's go over the lighting setup. Even though this is our smaller light source, this becomes our key light. Once again, meaning it's mostly responsible for the light on our set. It's a hard light because we have no diffusion, but it's not completely naked. We have this dome around it to catch more of the fall off, all right? And below we have our trusty, once again, silver catch light. Can you guys tell this is like my favorite? I almost always have this 5-foot octabox filling the shadows. So if I'm shooting from here, our key light is coming directly 90 degrees from the camera, so side lighting the model, because I plan to have her turn to the side a little bit like how she is right now. Now I've got this softbox on what's eventually gonna be her shadow side, because if that's our key light, it's gonna fall to shadow on this side. So this is basically just filling our shadows. And then over here, we have our double black V cards. This is just to suck up more of that fill light that we're gonna naturally get from having this white cyc. All right, so once again, the trend here is light direction, from left to right. Once again, all my lights are on one side of the camera. Don't be afraid of shadows, they are your friend. Another point is we have about 10 feet of space from the model to the back wall, because I want the light to have an opportunity to fall off out of frame. If I had her close to the wall, her shadow right here would start to curve with the curvature of the wall. So having her pulled back from the wall allows that space for the shadow to run out of frame in a straight line like how I want it. So let's take some shots. So I'm sitting down not only for comfort, but to maintain that up angle, right? Because Melissa's in a stool now, so she's a little bit lower, so I'm gonna be a little bit lower. And because this is high fashion, you know, I kind of want a little bit more wide angle lens distortion. So I'm probably gonna zoom out to about 35 millimeters. And what this is gonna do is it's gonna exaggerate length. Take your left foot and put it on this side right here. Yeah, right there. So Melissa, kind of same thing here. Even more important is that you cheat your chin to the light. All right, so what I'm doing here with this card, I'm flagging off our key light because notice our source is round, so it's creating a round kind of shadow. I want to turn that round shadow into a straight shadow. So I added this straight card to create a straight shadow. So that's a great shot. You know, we shoot 100 photos and we're really just looking for one power shot. Bam, cheesy high five, cue music. So there you go, guys. Those are my 5 favorite go-to lighting setups for shooting on a white cyc. Now, all you have to do is go out there and try it yourself. That's right, that's your homework. So go out there, get on a white cyc, get some lights, and try out these setups, because I promise you, you're gonna learn what works and what doesn't work. You can't learn everything sitting behind the computer. You have to take this knowledge, go out and apply it, and that's how you will remember it for the rest of your life. Thanks guys for tuning in. Make sure you check out the next episode. Keep rolling, you're doing great work.